Namaste Ayush. Today we are here to discuss about the low-code solution that are already into the market. So they calculate that they increase the productivity and scalability of any developer teams, the tech teams out there. So the same question arises from our Discord team members and the community members. Godspeed is also helping developers to make these kind of things, the increase the scalability of any developer or productivity of any tech teams. So how you are different, how Godspeed is different from the other tools like Xanon, OutSystems, those who are there into the market?
Firstly, let's talk about the purpose of low-code solutions versus the purpose of Godspeed, and then we can talk about other differences like the limitations that these tools have. We can also talk about the lack of customizability, the complex pricing structures, and also vendor lock-ins. So we will touch upon these, but first let's talk about the purpose of low-code tools versus Godspeed. Okay. So basically the low-code tools of the world definitely have a claim that they increase productivity of developers. Okay. I believe that the low-code tools have been intentionally made for simple projects. Most of the low-code tools were made for simple projects where you require a quick POC. Alright, a small component, a small module. They were not designed to make complex distributed systems based on event-driven microservices architecture with multiple protocols, multiple integrations. Okay, they are not designed for those tech teams which like to develop things hands-on using, for example, Java, Node.js, so on and so forth. All these ecosystems, no?
Got it.
Okay, so these low-code tools come with their own way of doing things. They'll come up with their own UI. They'll come up with their own paradigm of how you write code also out there. Okay, so you are effectively tied to their way of doing things. Now, what is the problem of this approach? Okay, it is great for doing POCs, building small modules. All right, it works fantastic for that purpose. But now the first problem is the limitations of these tools. All right, the limitations. So, what are the limitations of these tools? There will be feature limitations. You are tied down by what features they provide. Correct.
So that means you are not able to add features if you are using these systems like OutSystem or Xanon there. Is it like that?
If you use these tools, one of the problems that they have is that it comes as a rigid black box. What do I mean by rigid black box? Firstly, you cannot customize them. Okay. Secondly, it's a black box. You don't know how they are built, nor do you have access to the source code. So you cannot modify it as per your needs as well, right? So hence the rigidity is a problem. Right? Now with this rigidity, you have to play with the rules set by the low-code tool, with what is allowed by the low-code tool. Okay, it means all the features that it supports, you cannot do anything more than that. Okay, it also means where your data is hosted, how your data is controlled, everything is now limited by what they provide, right? And their way of doing things. So that's the first problem, is limitation and rigidity. So the next problem of these low-code tools is the complex pricing structure. Okay, and it's very unpredictable that how your pricing will grow as you scale the product. So basically, you do not have the ability to predict your costs, and you can be rest assured it will, your cost will grow exponentially as your project scales. Okay. Now the third problem is the vendor lock-in, because it's very difficult to switch out of a solution already made. Right? You are tied to their cloud, you are tied to their pricing model, you are tied to the limitations and rigidity of the system, right? Now, if you want to even switch out of that system, it will be a long effort to develop the same thing again in another language. Correct? So, these are the problems of low-code tools. Number one, limitations. Then they are a rigid black box. Then it has a complex pricing structure, and as well there is a vendor lock-in. And of course, I forgot to add one more problem. Your data is not in your control. It's with somebody else, right? So what is different in Godspeed now? So Godspeed is made for those tech teams which want to build things hands-on using Java, Node.js or such languages. Teams which like freedom to do whatever they want. Teams which like control over their data. Teams which want a predictable pricing for the cost of building and scaling their software. Okay, so that's what Godspeed is about, and what makes Godspeed very differentiated and complementary to the traditional Java, Node.js based ecosystems is that we are calling it a fourth generation framework. So Node.js, TypeScript, JavaScript, Java, these are third generation languages, correct? So Godspeed has come out with a fourth generation higher level abstractions, which are mostly YAML based abstractions. Okay, they sit on top of your Node.js project, they sit on top of whichever plugins or tools you use. But the abstractions basically help the developer define what they want to do. The how is taken care by Godspeed and the plugins.
Got it.
Alright, so this saves developer effort, this saves boilerplate code, right? This brings productivity. Okay, this even comes with developer guardrails. The four guardrails we talked about: schema driven development, configure over code, security guardrails, and the last one is very important, decoupled architecture guardrail, right? So imagine you have a team of diverse skill sets, developers from entry level to senior members in the team. How do you ensure that best practices are followed in all your projects, right? That is through guardrails. How do you ensure that standardization is followed across all your projects, not just Node.js, but even Java projects that start looking same to similar, right? It is through these high-level abstractions of fourth generation. Now imagine you as a company, you have 50 developers, 100, 500 developers in your team. Some developers come and go all the time, right? So then if you don't have a standardized software structure,
They are not able to understand the code in that case.
Correct. There are many problems. If you don't have standardization implementation of your projects, one, your projects are not very understandable, not very readable. So the switching cost between developers is very high.
Yes.
Second problem is that your entry level developers and middle level developers have to learn a lot. They have to not only understand the project, but they have to wire things up. You have to integrate everything. Now, since they have to do all of this work before they start writing the business logic, all right, it means there are more chances of mistakes also.
Yeah.
Correct? And hence the quality of project also suffers, right? So these are the nightmares of every CTO in the world and every VP technology, every tech leader, engineering manager or a founder, correct? Is that how do I ensure maintainability, productivity, effectiveness of my tech and team, not just for the first 6 months, but over next 2 years, 5 years, 10 years as I scale and grow. And this is what Godspeed aims to help solve strategically for tech teams around the world.
Great, Ayush. Thank you so much, Ayush, for answering our questions. And it will help our community, especially to understand how actually Godspeed different from the low-code solutions, those who are into the market like Xana and OutSystems. Thank you so much, Ayush, for clearing all the doubts. To my viewers, we will be coming up with a lot of content in the upcoming days. So stay tuned with us on the YouTube and on all the social media handles. Thank you so much.